put down that camera and strap in. It's time for a new episode of TogChat Live. Get ready for a 60-minute deep dive into marketing for photographers, including marketing news and tips and photography website reviews. Here's your host, Joe Edelman.
Hey gang, how you doing? It's Thursday night and we have internet access this week. So we are good to go. We are going to do a Thursday night marketing talk chat. It is really great to see a whole bunch of you here already. I see Troy Hall's arriving late tonight. What's up with that, Troy? Did Tony and Chelsea run overtime? Is that what's going on here? So listen, it's good to see all you guys. I am really sorry that we didn't make last Thursday. Hopefully you saw the messages. We had some major internet issues last Thursday and technology was just not cooperating. But we are here today and it is time for a brand new talk chat. And I apologize for seeming slightly distracted. I'm just making sure that I can monitor the feed there on the phone. So listen, I hope you guys are having a great week. If you weren't here last night for the first Wednesday talk chat that we did, it was an open mic night for photographers, Q&A, lots and lots of questions, lots and lots of answers. So if you weren't here, you missed a really, really good talk chat. And that's going to be an every Wednesday thing now. So it's going to be Mondays for photo reviews, Wednesdays for Q&A, your questions, and then Thursdays for the marketing reviews. And we're going to do them all at 60 minutes to keep it at a decent time frame so that you don't have to spend the whole evening. I was getting too many people telling me that they were getting in trouble with their spouses for spending too much time with Joe. So I figured we better trim it back just a little bit. So listen, I've got a whole bunch of stuff for you guys tonight and something really, really special, but I'm going to hold it till the end of the evening. It's a new contest. It's going to run for a couple of weeks. And I got to tell you, if you are here for marketing information, and if you are looking to start a business, if you're in business, you're trying to build your business, you are going to want to hang around for what's coming up at the end tonight. And it's worth mentioning that we've got a website to review, and I've also got 5 more .space domain names to give away. So we've been doing that for a few weeks now, and we're going to keep going. The folks at .space have been great. For those of you that aren't familiar, if you haven't been to one of these Thursday night talks before, if you're not familiar with the .space domain, obviously you've heard of .com and .net and .org. Those are the standard ones. It's getting really hard to get good domain names in those spaces right now. And .com, that was the mainstay for a long time. And now we have .photo and we have .photography, and those are filling up. And along comes a company with the extension of .space. And what they've done pretty much from the beginning, .space has really positioned themselves as a domain that is for creatives. So it's becoming well known as a space for photographers, illustrators, designers, graphic artists, you name it. So I've got 5 free 1-year registrations for .space domain names to give out to you guys tonight. So stay tuned. That's coming up. And remember, if you guys would like to have your website reviewed in an upcoming Tog Chat, there is a link in the description section below. It's tog.chat/web reviews. You can go ahead and you can submit your website through that link. You'll need to answer 3 simple questions when you submit it. And you'll know what those questions are in just a minute when I get into tonight's review. Okay? So gang, listen, we are going to go ahead and we are going to jump right in because I've got a lot of stuff that I want to talk about with this website tonight, and I want to be able to answer questions for you guys at the end of the night. So if you've got specific questions, even about your marketing and what you're trying to do with social media, hold on to them a little closer to the end. And I will set aside time at the end of the evening before I sign off, even if I have to run over by a few minutes, and I'll try and answer some questions for you, okay? So let me switch my screen over here, and we are going to look at this website, which is from Ryan Kiedrowski of Dutchess, Canada. And before I get in trouble, I did not prepare ahead of time. Let me give you guys the domain name. There it is. So that way, if you want to pull that website up in another browser tab and listen to me in the background, I will not be offended if you don't watch me while we talk about the website. So every time that I do one of these reviews, I ask the photographer 3 simple questions when they submit their website. And in part because I want to be able to review the website as if I were someone that just came upon this website, a potential customer. I literally have spent less than 5 minutes looking through this website prior to coming on the air to talk to you guys tonight. So the first question that I ask every photographer, tell me about yourself. So here's what Ryan tells me. He's been a photographer for a long time, and he's been operating Key Images and Events since 2008. And he does this in the county of Newell, and that's, I believe, near Alberta, Canada. The specific town is called Dutchess, Canada. He's the only nightclub photographer in the county, and he specializes in weddings and portrait work. He's also begun teaching photography classes. Good for you. He's published a couple online books, and he plans to release a monthly magazine. Very aggressive agenda, Ryan. Good for you. He's trying to keep a strong online presence in all the main formats. Recently moved to a larger home with his family, which has enabled him to use the garage for a main studio. Plus, he has a smaller studio in his basement office for headshot and product work. Okay, so the second question, tell me about your website. I've been watching the other website reviews and also followed the tips of Marketing Guru to enhance my website and an online presence. This site is built on Weebly, which I've been satisfied with for the most part. He has taken my advice and looked into Format. Format, if you haven't been to any of these, is a company based in Toronto, Canada. They serve worldwide. They're the company that I use for my portfolio website, the www.joeedelman.com. You'll find a link to them in the description below if you'd like to check them out. Their prices are very reasonable. They've got great templates, and what's wonderful about Format, unlike those big behemoths like Squarespace isn't bad, but they're actually kind of expensive, and they're really not super user-friendly to set up. Format's interface, super simple, really easy to set up. You should check it out. Anyway, that being said, he's looking at a Format which he intends to use as more of a secondary site for more of his portfolio work. He's registered a domain name that will show up in more general Google searches, and that happens to be Brooks, Alberta Photographer. So he's strictly going with the location, and we'll talk a little bit about that concept before we finish. And then the third question, and this is the real key, what do you want me to help you accomplish? So Ryan tells me that their province has been in a recession for the last 2 to 3 years, the worst downturn that they've seen in recent memory. Everyone is hungry for work, and he'd like to set himself ahead of the crowd without having to sacrifice pricing and, of course, morals. He'd like to draw more people to the site and have his phone ringing more often. Is there anything that he's missing? Are there any huge glaring details that he's overlooked? That's what he's looking for advice on. Okay, so quick summary. We've got a very busy photographer here that is not only shooting nightclub work, but he's doing portraits, he's doing weddings, he teaches courses, he's written some ebooks, he's got a studio in his home, actually technically 2 studios in his home. He is really looking to build out his business. He's going to be publishing a monthly magazine, which I assume that's going to be an online magazine. Maybe it's going to be a print magazine, or maybe we'll find out when we go through the website. So very busy guy, and the bottom line is he is clearly very invested in social media. You'll see he's got pretty much all the social media platforms in use up here. He is obviously doing a little bit of work in SEO, which is why he bought that extra domain name, and we'll talk about that for those of you that maybe don't understand what the benefit of that is. I will get into that, I promise. So my first impressions. So I want you guys to keep in mind that we were told that Ryan does portraits, weddings, and events. And I think on the event side, it's primarily nightclub work, okay? So the first thing that I struggle with, Ryan, that I got to be perfectly honest with you, is that I don't see that in this picture. I mean, first of all, when I think nightclub, I think bright colors, like party, good time. When I think weddings, I at least think lots of energy, happy, excited, good time. When I think portraits, I think attractive people, pleasant, maybe in environmental settings. But the problem I have here is I've got a black and white picture with a bunch of big text over top. In fact, the text runs right through the young man's face. So I feel, in all honesty, for all the work that you're doing in terms of SEO and promoting yourself and marketing yourself, and since you're trying to be extra aggressive because of the economic scenario in your market, you're not helping yourself with this first image. One little nitpicky thing, and hopefully you guys can see this on the video, and this is just a coding thing. So Ryan, this is an easy fix, but if you look really close in the green bar up here at the top, that green bar, believe it or not, in your website design is not actually supposed to be that big. It's supposed to be a little bit smaller. The reason it's that big is you see those numbers, that UA-6233, yada, yada, yada. That is the Google Analytics code for Ryan's website. Now, don't worry, I haven't given away any proprietary information about his website. But Ryan, the bottom line is we should not be able to see that code. So you've got a missing character somewhere in your Google Analytics tag, or there is a problem with the template behind your website. So first things first, I would just check the way, I don't know how Weebly works in terms of how you insert your Google Analytics code, if you were able to copy and paste the entire code or if you just give it your ID number. If you cut and paste the entire code, you've probably got a missing character. If you simply give it the ID number, you need to get a hold of Weebly because they've got a problem with their theme. You don't want that displayed, period. The Google Analytics code is something that should happen behind the scenes. The general public should not see it. And for that matter, search engines should not find it as part of the text of your page. They should find it as part of the Google Analytics tag. Right now, it's technically part of the text of your page. So I've got this, very big image. I like the idea of having a big image. It makes a bold statement. I really honestly wish that you had a simple logo. The text that kind of runs across the page here, it is text, which in theory that has some search engine benefit. But the reason I said it that way, guys, in theory, someone would have to know about right key images and type that in for this to have any benefit. So generally your website as a photographer is marketed towards new customers, meaning people are not going to be typing in these words to find you. So you'd be much better off with a logo that you lay over top of that picture, or even if you have to embed it in that picture, and make it simple, really, really simple. But and I would take it out of the middle of the frame, because if I'm not mistaken, what's going to happen here when I click on one of these? Oh no, okay, so the navigation's going to stay up at the top. We have a big header at the top. So at least the navigation stays in the same place. That's a good thing. But I will tell you, once we get past this home page, Ryan, you're eating up a lot of important real estate with that big header. But we'll get to that. So I see we've got the location, serving Southern Alberta. That's cool. We've got a search button there. If there's enough here to search for, that's awesome. We'll come back to that. And then we've got all of our social media. I would encourage you, if you are able to, with this Weebly template, it's a minor little thing, but at the same time, it's something that makes a difference. Organize these in the priority of where you're getting the most traffic. Meaning, I'm pretty sure you're probably not getting a lot of push from Google+. You may or may not be getting much from Twitter. You probably get most of your traffic from the social media side of things, from Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. So I would get those closest to the left, kind of taking things in order, okay? So having a phone number here, that's great. We want to tell your story. Here's where I kind of run into a problem with what you've got here, Ryan, and I don't think, for as aggressive as you're trying to be, your homepage feels like you're being very aggressive because we've got a lot of kind of advertising stuff. But the problem of it is I'm not really seeing pictures that represent what you're telling me that you will sell me, okay? Hey, Kenneth, I see a note here from Kenneth that the header picture is different in different browsers. I don't doubt that, and that's why I wanted to click through before. The problem that we have is we're eating up a whole lot of space with some kind of random pictures along the way. So I'm still sticking with my comments there. For somebody that's doing portraits, weddings, and events, that's not what I'm seeing. And even if it's going to give me different images, depending on when I hit the website, having a black and white shot there still means there's a 1 in whatever many number of images chance that somebody's going to hit that black and white image with the text going through the kid's face. So you have to factor that in, guys. And this is one of the things that obviously, Ryan knows his images, he knows his business, but people that come to his website don't. So we've got to make sure that we are accommodating all of the options that are here. So we want to tell your story thing. We're unlike any photographer. I think the thing that you have to be careful about here, Ryan, is everything about your statements to me when you answered your questions is that it's you doing this. And there's nothing wrong with that. Especially if you're in a market where the economy is down. The idea that it's you as opposed to some big business with a bunch of people that have salaries and overhead and all that stuff, it actually works in your favor. So if it is indeed just you, trust me, get rid of the we. I want to tell your story. You're the person that people are going to meet. In fact, I know it's just you because I did see your about page. So make this about you, not about us. Because what you're doing here is this thing here, what you're trying to do is you're trying to say to people, hey, look, I'm your guy. I want to do this for you. But really what you're doing is you're talking about yourself, okay? We want to tell your story. So that's about you, okay? How do you tell the story of us? Through a glimpse into your everyday life captured through the lens. I'm not going to lie to you. That's kind of like blah, 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 blah. People don't want that. They don't care about that. And then you go on to, this is how we approach. So we're 2 sentences in, and twice now we've talked about us, the photographer, not the client, okay? So, you've entrusted us. We're back to we again, and we want to make sure. What about the client? If you're going to write stuff like this, you need to be communicating to the client, what is their experience going to be with you? In other words, really give them a reason to hire you, but not like a sales pitch reason. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to the about page, because that's really where that comes in. The idea that you were the 2016 World Business of the Year, awesome. That's cool. Advertise that, show it off. In all honesty, sincerely, once we get to 2018, I would lose this. Maybe put it on your about page as an aside on the about page. But once you get to 2018, it's kind of like, okay, great. You were the business of the year in 2016. What have you done since? Going downhill, So maybe at that point, 2016 was just luck, right? So it's a good thing now. When you get to 2018, though, move it off to your about page. And I would actually take it out of the image at that point and just mention it as part of the text. Having, the idea of the testimonials on that's cool. But again, between this testimonial, between this logo here, for the Chamber of Commerce, it's feeling, and then everything here is about we. It's feeling like we're trying to sell, and you don't want to sell. You want to get people to come in. You want to get people interested, and that's why I'm really concerned about these images that I'm seeing up at the top. I really think you need to get images that better represent what you're getting paid to do. And it's very possible, Ryan, that you're going to pay me or tell me that you got paid to do this picture. I don't doubt that, and I certainly hope you did. But I'm struggling with the idea that unless the market is really different in southern Alberta, Canada, that this is the kind of thing that's drawing people to hire a wedding and portrait photographer or a nightclub and event photographer. I'm having a hard time seeing that transition. So that's the kind of stuff. So, and Jeff made a good point here. I want to mention this so that all of you understand this about your own websites. Jeff said here, on his browser, the text is not going through the face. The child's face is well below the text. Now, here's the problem with that. What I want you guys to know about what you're seeing in my video right now. One of the challenges that you have when you build a website and you put the website online is the minute you essentially post the website, you have no control over how other people will see it. Some people have crappy monitors and the color sucks. Some people never clean their monitors, so everything's just hazy. Everybody has their browsers set at different dimensions. Not to mention that some people are going to be looking on a mobile device, some will be on an iPad, some will be on an iPad Pro, some will be on an iPad Mini, all across the board. So you have to do your best to accommodate for all of that. What you guys are seeing in the video right now is a 1280 by 1024 browser dimension. So it's 1,280 pixels wide by 1,024 pixels tall. 1280 by 1024, and you can look this up, don't take my word for it, is the most commonly used browser dimensions on the entire internet. So this is the one standard that your website better look good in. If it doesn't look good in 1280 by 1024, then you're missing the largest demographic of web browser dimensions in the world. So obviously, for the sake of the video, I can't accommodate all of them because unfortunately it would be impossible to do that without this video just getting really messy. So I have it default set to 1280 by 1024. This is an exact setup of what you would see in those browser dimensions. If I'm a betting man, Ryan, like many people, probably has a browser that's at least, or a monitor that's at least 21 inches or 27 inches, and tends to keep, when he's working on his website, tends to keep his browser like full screen. I do the same thing. And the problem of it is, at that point, you're actually working on a much, much bigger browser dimension than what the average internet user will use. So for all of the browsers, probably Internet Explorer. I cannot speak factually to Internet Explorer, but I can tell you that for Safari, for Chrome, and for Firefox, you can get for free little plugins. Chrome calls them extensions. Everybody's got a different name for them, but they will allow you to automatically just click through all of the standard browser dimensions for the different types of devices that access the internet. And you just click it, and it'll basically resize your browser so you can see how your website's going to look. And then you click to the next size, and it'll resize your browser. So, and you can do that for free. There are services that you can pay for. For instance, there's a company called browserstack.com. I would not encourage any of you to do this because it's expensive. And so for your own photography website, it's simply not worth it, but it is an option. You could use a service like browserstack.com, and what they do is not only do they have utilities that will check it in all the different dimensions, but it gives you reporting on it and all kinds of other stuff. So they do have like a free demo. You can try out the demo, see what information comes back on your website. But you can get these little plugins for your browsers for free. So you should have them. I will make it a point. I'll promise you guys, come back next Thursday, since we're talking about it today. Next Thursday on the Marketing Talk Chat, I promise you I will tell you the names for all the different browsers. And I'm sure there's one for Internet Explorer. I just don't know for a fact, so I want to make sure. But I will give you guys a list. I'll make sure that they are in the links to the link in the description below. I'll have them there next Thursday. Okay, so come back for that. So honestly, Ryan, the short version here for your homepage, I would make it much more image-centric. Now, I'm not referring to the idea of a splash page, because I also want to be really clear for those of you, I hate splash pages. Usability people hate splash pages. Usability people are the people that test how people interact with websites. So they're the ones that really ought to know, okay? Splash pages are an extra click. Like the whole, click here to enter. God, no. And as a rule, especially since I'm kind of a bit hardcore with this marketing stuff, I come to a website that's got one of those click here to enter, I'm gone. I'm not even watching what they have. I'm not interested. I'll go elsewhere, period. Don't make people work any harder than they need to. So what I want to look at first here is I want to look at Ryan's links. We've got start here, details, official Reiki blog, contact, and about Ryan. And then underneath these, we have some other options. So start here. I want to be able to click it, and I can't. Now, I know you're going to tell me, because the line's there, that's telling me where I'm at. That's the idiom. No, okay? Start here. Don't tell me what to do. As an internet user, it's kind of like when you go to a website and music starts glaring and you're like, oh my God, where do I turn it off? Right? Like, never take control away from your end user, ever. Think of your own surfing experience. So it's a little thing, but it's also a big thing, Ryan. Honestly, don't tell me what to do on your website. You need to make your website simple enough and intuitive enough that I can do whatever I want to do and I can find everything I want. So start here should simply be home. And I'm going to remind all of you, I'm not a fan of having the navigation sitting in the middle of an image. Because like in this image, and again, I understand there's other images, but no, guys, I'm not sick and it's not a new mic. It's the same old me, okay? So the problem with having it in the middle of those images is depending on the image that comes up and depending on how the browser's sized, it's going to be very, very hard to read. So you're losing all control and you're really just not a good thing. So start here should simply be home, period. The next most important thing is not investment. So I'll come back and I'll talk about that word because that is such a bad word, Ryan. But the next most important thing to somebody is your galleries. That needs to be up top and big. Like, so far you show me 2 pictures. And the one picture looks like an abandoned building because like 5/6 of the image is an abandoned building. And, oh, it's a bridal party. So I'm not saying like, oh, it's a bad picture, but I'm just saying like this, that, the first 2 impressions I get from you are these 2 black and white pictures. And in this one, the bride is like a really, really small part of the image. So color, man, we live in a modern era. Black and white is not horrible, but I wouldn't lead with black and white, not like 2 images. And those are the only 2 images that I can get. So even if there's other color images that might load on this top page, doesn't matter because I've proven it's possible to get 2 black and white images. So that's not a good idea, okay? So we really should have a portfolio, or if you want to call it galleries, that needs to be up top. And that needs to be like the first thing after the home page that I can get to. So I'm going to go there. I want to see how they're set up. So the problem I have now is I've got to scroll down to get to where this stuff is because I've got these big images up here with the navigation. If anything, go with a theme where after the homepage, maybe you have a slider of pictures on the homepage, a carousel, but then the navigation goes to the top. And if you want to get a theme where the navigation locks at the top so that when you scroll, it stays there the whole time. Because now, even with this, once I scroll, as much as you're making me look at that navigation, once I scroll, the navigation's gone. And then what you're doing is you're telling me to do something again. Don't tell me what to do. And I know it's subtle, but a line like checkout, because here, you've added like another 1.5 inches of my screen space with nothing that helps me make a buying decision, with nothing that helps me get a sense of, is this guy a good photographer or not? Okay? I'm kind of hot and cold on the idea of pushing your testimonials. Because here I see now I see your product is weddings, headshots, and bands. But might I point out, prior to seeing weddings, headshots, and bands, I've seen a double rainbow, I've seen a kid playing on a monkey bars, and I've seen a bridal party in a dilapidated building. Only one of those 3 pictures gives me any hint of your 3 product categories, because the rainbow certainly doesn't. So stay focused on what your product is, not fun pictures, okay? So let's click. We go to weddings. Oh, my goodness, really? So I actually, I'm sorry, Ryan. I really have to give you my email address to look at your pictures. Okay, so Ryan, I got to be completely honest with you. At that point, I'm gone. Done. You've lost my business. So you asked me, is there anything glaring in detail? Oh my God, yes. Like, don't make me give you an email address to decide if I want to hire you. You're being way too aggressive. And come on, guys, you've all been there. That's like when you go to that website and it's like, hey, look at this piece of information. And you click to get it and the little box pops up and says, hey, give me your email address, your phone number, your name, and your birth date before I'll let you read it because I want to spam the crap out of you. No, you can't put a gateway up to your portfolio. Your portfolio is why people should care about you. So Seriously, Ryan, that's a killer. Make that go away. Absolutely make that go away. You can't make people give you information until they decide to give you information. I mean, it's all well and good to make them give you information if you're incentivizing them and you're going to give them something. But giving them the opportunity to look at your portfolio, that's a little pretentious. So I would get rid of that. And I will point out now that I have seen 4 of your photos. 4. 3 of which are black and white. 2 of which are weddings. And I'm taking what would be considered a fairly natural path through your website if I'm interested in seeing what kind of wedding photography that you do. Okay? So we scroll down here, and now we get to a photo gallery with really big watermarks. So, Ryan, I got to be honest. You asked me to give you, and folks, like, I want to be really clear. Like, this is the first time I'm seeing this stuff. As I explained to you in the beginning, I want to be able to see these websites and review them as if I'm a potential customer. So literally all I look at on these websites when I am getting set up to do TogChat each time is I check the home page. I'll maybe sometimes click on a gallery page, which ironically I didn't on Ryan's, and I look at the about page and I look to see what social media links they have. That's it. So the watermarks, Ryan, get rid of them. They're horrible. They're obnoxious. If you are prepping your images properly for the internet, the biggest anybody's going to be able to print these images is like a 4x6. If they're that desperate, good luck to them. If you just absolutely feel like you need to have your name on there for branding purposes or whatever, make it much smaller and put it at the bottom. Don't run it across the whole picture. Remember, this website is for people who might hire you. So, this is your portfolio. These are your galleries. Don't make it obnoxious. And then I would also, which hopefully Weebly allows you to do this, turn off the captions, because 1-6.jpg, what's that mean? If I'm not a photographer, what's that mean? Why do I care about that? What is that all about? So definitely, turn that kind of stuff off. You don't want the file names. But like in this, your watermark is 50% of the image. That's just extreme. So, the concern that I have for you here, Ryan, is, you've got some nice images. And I realize part of what's happening here is you're going to a different URL. So hopefully you guys, and I apologize, you can't see it. But since I know a lot of you are following along, I'm going to go ahead and I'll post the link in here just in case you're not. Once we switch over, he's using a different site for the galleries. And that's okay. That's totally okay. But the watermarks definitely shouldn't be there. Dave, have I ever done Mexican Coke with all real sugar? I have, yes. Believe it or not, I've had college students bring it to me when I teach my college courses, because they learn. I teach them on the first day of the semester, the first class. I walk in with my can of Coke, which sticks out like a sore thumb because the college that I teach at is an all Pepsi campus. You can't buy Coke on campus. So I walk in and I put my Coke down, and they're not used to seeing Coke. And I pretty much tell them, if you ever see me come in without one of these, it's going to be a bad day. So frequently, it seems before semester is over, somebody will bring me a bottle of the Mexican Coke with all the sugar. So I have had it, yes. So, we've got some really nice photography here, Ryan, but lose the watermarks. That's the big one, okay? So let me just go back. I want to see one other portfolio page. When I click on headshots here, same thing. So, it's kind of cool when we get this full page image, but then the idea that everything else is down underneath, people don't necessarily get the sense that there's more there. There's this tiny little link that says, view gallery. So I would really rather see you feature your photography, show what you can do. Your site is what I would call over-marketed. It's got a lot of hype. It's got a lot of in-your-face stuff, but it's light on the important things. You want people to be able to appreciate your work, and really why people are there. Remember, the reason why they're there is one simple yes or no question. That is, do we like his photography or not? So assuming that the answer is yes, we like it, then the second question is, do I like him? Am I going to like working with him? If it's a wedding, do I trust him with my wedding? Do I want to spend a whole day dealing with him? And, interestingly enough, in your testimonials, it talks about Ryan's a great guy. He's got a good eye, all this stuff. That's wonderful. But let's see that instead of slamming marketing into people's faces. So that's definitely a really, really big piece that I would encourage you to deal with. So client guide, let me see this. So check out our welcome guide. And this is, oh my goodness. Okay, so that's like a full screen thing with stuff to read. Oh my God. So there's like an online magazine that we switch over to here. So the problem here now, I've left your website, and this is actually, Ryan, I really don't know if you intended it to be this way, but now I'm at a different photographer. This is all the information with the Karen Ann Campbell Photography Client Welcome Guide. So I'm not sure how or why you're doing that, Ryan, but that's a really bad move, because why should I not just go hire that photographer then, since she's going to tell me how to do things, okay? This information here, Ryan, what to wear, the details about the sessions, what it's going to be like working with you, this information is something that you should send your clients. It could be pages on your website, but they shouldn't be linked on your website. This is stuff that you should be sending your clients after they've booked you. After somebody's booked you, you tell them what to wear. After they've booked you, you tell them how to prep for the photo shoot. All that kind of information, that's part of the prep. And that's also part of how you make people feel like you are hands-on. Because what you don't want to do, gang, is don't be the photographer like, okay, great, we're shooting Saturday. It's going to cost you X number of hundreds of dollars. Go look at my website so you know what to do. I'll see you then. Like, what kind of experience is that for your client? So if you don't want to take the time to actually have a conversation with them, which would be better, and discuss these things, and then follow up that discussion with an email with the information, at a minimum, use this information as a way for you to make the client at least feel like you're being a little touchy-feely in the sales process. After you've booked them, send them an email with the link to the page that contains this information. Now, maybe you're doing that now, but this information shouldn't be up front. It's kind of pretentious, because I'm getting this client guide before I get to the galleries. And just in case the thought process was, because some of you may think this way, but I want to reassure you there's science behind this. Some of you may be thinking, well, the galleries is the bottom one. That's what people click on first. No, believe it or not, they don't. Usability experts prove people will go to the top. In fact, actually, people will click on details first. That's the one they want. And I skipped that page completely. We're going to come back to that, okay? So galleries should be up top all by itself. Client guide shouldn't even be here. Investment. So here's the problem with this word, Ryan. In fact, actually, before I tell you the problem, because people that have been here before know what I'm about to say. If every photographer in a 50-mile radius of you, or I shouldn't say every, if the overwhelming majority, and I'm not kidding when I say overwhelming majority, of the photographers that do weddings and portraits and events in a 50-mile radius of you, if their websites use the word investment, then unfortunately, you should use that. If you are in an area where the economy is on a downturn, I am willing to bet money that the overwhelming majority of the photographers in your area, unless they're all really bad at marketing, do not use the word investment. Because here's what investment means to me. It means, holy shit, it's going to be expensive. Like, I don't invest in pictures. Who thinks of investing in pictures to hang on the wall? People don't think that way. That was a sales gimmick that came around in the late 90s, and it actually died quite a while ago. Investment is the best way to make yourself sound expensive. So I understand you talked in your comments to me that you don't want to sacrifice pricing, et cetera, et cetera. That's got nothing to do with sacrificing pricing. That's got to do with simply offering a fair price. Make it easy for people, and people will be much happier. Okay? So the whole investing thing, really, you need to get rid of some of that. Okay? And honestly, you totally sound like a used car salesman here. Your first line. So you've seen our work. You've learned about what we do. So now let's talk numbers. Like that, like, I don't know. Am I buying a house? Am I buying a car? What am I investing in? Like, no, man, this is, and the first thing you tell me is, hey, you're going to have to give me money before I do anything. So you kind of got to see where we're going here in terms of you're given all the wrong information, and then you know there's a fee, and then you've got to explain the fee. So this is the kind of stuff that you really do have to be very, very careful of. Okay, that's kind of important. So you guys bear with me a second. All right, we lost the chat there. There it comes. So again, make this, you know, the information that's good. Portraits, you get the in-person consultation. There's no time limits. 20 to 25 handcraft approves. Nick, investment is good as long as all your clients are bankers. You know what, Nick? I would disagree because bankers are the cheapest SOBs out there. Now I've probably offended some of my subscribers, but seriously, like nobody wants to invest in photography. So, you know, this information here, Ryan, this information is valuable, but you got to make it about your subject. You're like hyping things. You're selling things. This wavy text stuff here, I'm not going to lie. That stuff went out in the 90s. Simplify it. Make it easier because, you know, I'm on a big computer screen right now. So even if you guys blow this video up to a full 1080, you know, p and look at it, that text is hard to read and it kind of bleeds all over the place. And keep it simple, stupid. Like, I promise you, dumb this down. All of you, and this is important for all of you, please understand this. Your website is a brochure. First and foremost, it's a brochure. Now, it's different if you've got a website where you're selling stuff, et cetera, but remember, when we're talking about portraits, weddings, events, the website is the place where, on one hand, you get to show off a little bit. Look at what I can do. Look how good I am. Look how much people like me and enjoyed working with me. And then the other part of the website is a way to give people a sense of who you are, what you're like. What is their experience with you going to be? I promise you, people do not come to a wedding and portrait photographer's website wanting to be sold. And literally, have a conversation with almost any bride. It's a scary process because they start the process out and they understand this is going to cost a lot of money. But I want really good pictures because there's not a bride in the world that wants pictures of her wedding day. No bride wants pictures of her wedding day. Every bride wants pictures of the fantasy that was in her head, which is 10 times better than her wedding day, because 15 years down the road, she wants to remember the fantasy, not all the crazy crap that went into making that day happen. So just like a portrait photographer's job is to make a person look like they look on their best day times 10, the wedding photographer's job is not to photograph the wedding. The wedding, even when it's a photojournalistic wedding, nobody wants the reality. People want the fantasy. That's what they're paying for. And brides know when they start out the process, they know, I don't even know where to begin. All I know is it's going to cost me a lot of money. It's intimidating. So the simpler you make it, the easier your sale process is going to be, the less pushback you're going to get from people. So that stuff's really, really important. Let's hit the blog here really, really quick. So we've got a blog. We haven't updated it since February, so you've got to be really careful about that. What's really good here about, well, at least your first blog post, Brian, you've got 300 Ryan, you've got 300 words in there, so that's very good. Oh my goodness. What does your photographer really think of you? Okay. And so you have an ebook that you can download here. And, oh goodness, Ryan, this is kind of gutsy. I'm almost afraid to ask here. Wow. Okay. Yeah, like Ryan, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, it's kind of looks like a humorous thing, but I'm not sure that I'm not sure that I would go that route, to be perfectly honest with you. Okay. So, goodbye trigger trap. If you're teaching classes, that's useful. Your brides, I say trigger trap. What the hell is a trigger trap? So one of the things I would encourage you, Ryan, is, and you did talk about the idea of using the second domain as your portfolio site. I think that's very, very wise. If you're starting to market yourself for teaching and that kind of stuff, that's okay, but I would keep it very separate. That's why, for instance, like my website, and not that I'm actively pursuing portfolio or portrait or wedding clients, but my website is basically a portfolio website. And then I have my blog, which is joeedelman.photography, where I have all my articles for photographers and all the articles from my videos and that kind of stuff. So I would definitely encourage you to keep them separate as far as that goes. Okay, I think that would play out, much better for you in that regard. But make sure that when you're going to do the blog articles, you want to hit at least 300 words. Anything under 300 words, Google doesn't care about. And Ryan, I know that you're trying to pay attention to SEO. So even though this is kind of cute and it's kind of funny, you might notice nobody's commenting on any of these, so you're not getting a lot of interaction. Well, we got 2 comments on that first one, so that's good, but we're not getting a lot of interaction here. So I would be careful about how much stuff you put in that's just short and sweet, and I would definitely be careful about the sense of humor stuff. It's tough when you're doing the whole sense of humor thing because not everybody gets it. And just the fact, because obviously I didn't have the time to read all that, but just the fact that you're asking somebody, did it make you mad? That worries me a little bit, okay? So let's go to About Ryan here. So here we get to see Ryan. He's an award-winning photographer. Mission is to make you look amazing. All that's cool. Been a photographer for 20 years. That's awesome. I've had your work published. Cool. Let's see, October, Chamber of Commerce. Yep, that's cool. All that. Okay, so that's good. I'm known as the fun photographer. So that's actually a good start. So the fact that you're kind of trying to talk a little bit about your personality, what it's going to be like working with you. What I love about your page here, Ryan, is you've got a lot of information. But now here's the problem. On page 1, everything was we do this, we do that, we want you to do this, we need you to do this, we say you have to do that because you're telling people what to do. And now on this page, it's I. So you've got to make sure that you are kind of getting the context the same here. And I assure you, I is correct. Here you're using I and my. That's what you should be using. Go back out to the homepage, get rid of the we. Don't try to be a big company. Just be a guy. Be that guy. Be that funny guy with the camera. That's literally what you need to be. I would encourage you, as you go through this page, here we have a space between paragraphs. Here we have no space. Here we have no space. Here we have no space. I do assure you, put the space between all the paragraphs. It's going to be easier to read. People might actually get through it. These pages look really clunky because of the way the sentences end short and then there's no space. But then here the sentence ends short, and there's space. So it's a stupid little detail that I'm being really, really picky about, but it matters. And bottom line is, online, people don't like to do a lot of reading. So that's the challenge we have. Google wants you to write a lot. People don't want to read a lot. So the idea that you are using boldface here, like this is an important thing. Your claim, you're the only nightclub photographer in the county. Awesome. Boldface it, that's good. You also teach photography classes. Awesome. That's good. But if you put more white space in, people will read this stuff. And then again, the wavy text thing, I just got to be honest with you, that stuff's like so old. So doing the picture view, the Chamber of Commerce, all that stuff, that's wonderful. But I would really get rid of that text. Maybe go back to the text that you have on the homepage, just to keep it simple. Okay. So what do we have here? We've got media coverage. Oh, cool. Wait, the media coverage is under contact. And we've got clippings of articles. Okay. So, I mean, that's not bad. The idea that it's all, kind of there is a little bit of a show off thing. And I don't mean show off in a bad way. Believe me, when you're running a business, you got to be willing to toot your own horn. So, nothing wrong with any of that at all. I do think that I would encourage you, and unfortunately it's more work. I would encourage you to maybe give some of these clippings some context. maybe put a little message with each one that talks a little bit about, hey, I was really fortunate to be recognized for this, and I had such a fun time doing it. It was great, etc., and getting this award, whatever. But give them some context, because here's the one thing that I have to be honest with you: nobody's going to read these damn things. So understand that when you put them up there, and it's totally cool doing the clippings like this, like it's totally fine. But people are going to read the headline, and that's it. So like when I do this headline, this doesn't say anything about you. So I have no context here, and I'm not going to read the whole article. Nobody is. So when you're going to put these up, you've got to give it some context. Marcos is asking, it really helps to say I'm a contest winner to have clients, and then he's got a question mark. It doesn't hurt to say it, but understand at the end of the day, people aren't going to hire you because it says you're a contest winner. I promise you that, because I in one of the bios that I use, in fact, I believe the bio on my website, it says that I'm an award-winning photographer. The last time I entered a contest, so I'll tell you guys the truth, and then you can all click and go home, okay? The last time I won a photography contest of any kind was in 1981, gang. I've never entered one since, not a single one. So, but am I an award-winning photographer? Yeah, I've got like a ton of plaques in the closet, because when I was younger, I was really into that big time. And when I was a newspaper photographer, I won a boatload of awards. I won state awards, national awards, all kinds of stuff. But as far as recently, no, I haven't entered any contests in quite a long time. I absolutely no interest in it. So it's one of those things. Will it hurt you to put it there? As long as it's legitimate, go for it. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. All right. So let's get back here. But I just want to watch the time. And guys, get ready. I will go over a little bit tonight, but I want to be able to answer specific questions that you guys have. I know there's one or two questions that I've got waiting here for me, but I want to make sure we get to go through Ryan's social media real quick here. So, yes, I got all that stuff. All right, let's hit some of this social media. So first of all, we got Facebook. So on the plus side here, Ryan, it's the same profile picture from your About page on your website. That's good. On the downside, I just got to be honest, it's that horrible graphic. Toot your horn about the business of the year, yes. But I got to be honest with you, like when I come to this page, nothing about this page says that you're a photographer at all. The fact that the word images is kind of there and kind of there doesn't say you're a photographer. So to me, you should blow people away with one of your amazing wedding images or event images. And by the way, you should change them frequently. Don't do it in wavy text, but you could put this statement over top of the image. Okay? Chris Dry, if you win awards at the fair, can you put that on your site? Chris, it's an award. Absolutely. It's one of those things. Nobody's ever going to ask you, what award did you win? Well, I shouldn't say never. Never's a bad word. But for the most part, nobody's going to ever say to you, what award did you win? It's an award. Yeah, absolutely. You're not lying, so say it, okay? There's no rule that says you have to win the Pulitzer Prize to be able to call yourself an award-winning photojournalist, okay? Because there's a lot of other awards that you can win. That's not lying. That's not misleading. That's legit, okay? Let's face it. If you ever work in the corporate world, or if you know anybody that works in the corporate world, ask them to see their resume. It's better creative writing than anything you'll find in a bookstore. Okay? So, just saying. So, as we go down through the page here, we've got an announcement and a video. And let's see. We've got a request for help at a trade show. Then we've got, hey, see you later. I'm going on vacation. So, definitely need to keep up with your social media more, Ryan. And again, make it more focused on your clients, not you. It's always good to share a little bit of who you are. And it's totally cool to say, yeah, going on vacation, I'll be back soon, got some cool stuff planned. That's cool. But then kind of follow up, okay? Make sure that you're getting, getting more stuff up on the page, okay? Twitter, let's see. So we're retweeting stuff. I'm not seeing a ton of posts that you're making. Okay. So here we get into the photography class stuff. And literally, your best play here, Ryan, might be to use the Twitter as marketing for the photography stuff you're doing with teaching, the classes, the workshops, that kind of stuff. That would probably be really the best way for you to get the bang out of your buck. Oh, wait a second. Did I see? Yeah, we do have the same profile image. Good. So we're still working with the same profile image on Google. So cool. It looks like Google will working ahead on some promo, and hopefully this isn't like from last year because Google doesn't give me the whole date. But, I wouldn't stress Google too much, except, Ryan, you need to make sure you do your Google business page. I really expected, since I know you're putting so much effort into the marketing, that when I clicked on that Google icon on your website, that I was going to go to a Google business page. Google business pages are still a factor for SEO, and Google does display them at the tops of search results. Your Google personal page, nobody cares about it. Google doesn't care about it. Nobody cares about it. But your Google business page is still very, very valuable. Okay. And like this picture here, this is the kind of stuff I should be seeing on the front of your website. Like this is kind of cool. So I should, be seeing that. Okay. So Pinterest, we've got a different profile picture. That's a problem. And on Pinterest, I can learn how to be a survivalist. I've got stuff for kids. I can be a computer geek. And all things photogenic. So the problem here is the first place that brides go to is Pinterest. Brides make hiring decisions about photographers today on Pinterest. Not occasionally. It's becoming a standard thing. It's becoming a normal thing. So number one, every one of these boards that you have here, they need to be secret boards. The public should not be able to see them. Pinterest needs to be your photography. Period. Okay, so that's really, really important. You're missing opportunity there. And here, hey, look, he watched my videos. Okay, nice guy. That's awesome. So, but yet he subscribes to other YouTube photographers too. What's up with that? So, yeah, you subscribe to Kai, really? Talk about highly overrated. Anyway. So the challenge that you have here, however, I am noticing, wait a minute, let's just check. Oh, okay, good, because I thought you were going to tell me that you liked more of Irene's videos than mine, but it looks like there's an even balance there, so that's okay. For your YouTube, it doesn't look like you're actually trying to build out a YouTube channel, and I'm not saying you should, but like some of it's photography stuff, some of it's announcing your ebook, other stuff, I have no idea what it is, except for the fact that I'm reading about Chechen conflicts. Like, honestly, my advice would be take the YouTube link off of your website. By all means, use YouTube to host the videos that you're going to display on your website. But I would be really careful about linking to this, okay? And then we've got this kind of crazy thing going on up here. And I understand how the YouTube header works because I've designed a bunch of them. And for those of you that don't know, the YouTube header, this is not all of what the design is. The YouTube header is this massive image, and you only see a tiny little piece of it. But the reason it's massive is because of televisions, okay? So you need to find a better template for your YouTube header if you're going to market your YouTube page, and then the logo should be the same as what you've got on all the rest of your social media. And then when we get to Instagram, it looks like we're kind of using Instagram for vacation purposes. And I got to be honest with you, for your portraits especially, and even your event stuff, Ryan, Instagram is the place to go. So in summary, you're working your butt off with a lot of marketing. What I have mad respect for here, Ryan, is that you are clearly not some guy with a camera who's sitting on his butt whining that he's not making any money. You are clearly busting your butt. But the problem of it is and to be clear, because obviously I've been a little tough on Ryan, so I want to make sure that we're getting this all in perspective, because believe me, I could go through 80% of the websites of the people that are in this chat room right now and find all the same kind of stuff. And it's for one simple reason. When we build our websites, we understand it because we built it. It's our business. There are pictures, there are words, we get it. The problem of it is you got to be able to step out of that And you've got to be able to look at all of it from the perspective of someone that knows nothing about you. And to do that, you got to try and put yourself in their shoes. So like I talked about before, the bride at first is intimidated. The bride has no idea. She's worried. It's important to get the perfect photographer. Somebody that wants a portrait photographer, they want someone that's going to make them look their best, times 10. So you've got to look at your presentation from that standpoint. Never tell people what to do. Never tell people how they have to interact with you. Don't give people rules. Don't do no, no, no. You have to do yes, 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 and never sound like a used car salesman. So don't talk about investments. Don't use lines like, okay, so let's talk about the numbers. It's not a number, and it's not an investment. It's hard-earned money. Good photography is expensive. So indeed, we are making people to do something that's damn near the equivalent of an investment, but you got to understand that you got to soften that and be a lot kind of friendlier about it. Okay? So, seriously, the good part, Ryan, and I mean this totally sincerely, lots of opportunity here. Lots of opportunity. You're putting in the hard work. You've got great reviews from your customers. So your customers clearly love you. Let's make this less about you talking, and let's make it more about you showing. Show us what you do. That's what you need to do. And even for, obviously you're dabbling in video, you need to get some videos of you that are geared towards your portrait clients, geared towards your wedding clients. Even if it's just simple slideshows. All of you, don't overlook the importance of video. Okay? Super, super, super important. The importance of video. Video is absolutely the future when it comes to marketing. Okay? So really quick, gang, before I do the Q&A here, I want to give you guys a little bit reminder. Please, please, please take a second and hit that thumbs up button down there. Okay? And when the video is over, leave a comment in the description section below. All of these comments that you see in the chat window will be recorded in the video, but they do not get archived by YouTube. They essentially disappear. So comments below are really helpful to make sure the video is seen. And of course, if you haven't done it already, what the heck are you waiting for? Please subscribe to the channel. That way you'll get notifications when I post a new video. In fact, just in case you don't know this for some of you, because I'll bet some of you don't know this, let me switch back over to a screen here and let me bring up my YouTube channel. Up in the upper right-hand corner of the YouTube channel, if you haven't subscribed to me, which means none of you should have this experience, but if you haven't subscribed, this will be red. So if you look at yours and it's red, it means you're not subscribed. So fix that by clicking on it. But right next to that, there's a little bell. If you click on that bell, you'll get notified via email and by notifications if you have the YouTube app on your phone every time I post a video or go live. So that way you'll never miss one, okay? So please do make sure that you subscribe. And then, of course, last but not least, all that good social media stuff is out there. Please do follow along. And I want to give you one more little commercial before I go ahead and do the Q&A and also take care of our prizes for the night. And that is, if you haven't been there yet, there's this website called TogSwag.com. I launched this back in the late fall, and I did it in a hurry. Again, if you guys have been around for some of these talk tracks, I talk about it all the time. I am a firm believer in the entrepreneurial concept of don't be afraid to break stuff and then move on and fix it. So the TogSwag store, I launched it back in the fall. I literally went to Fiverr.com and had a couple t-shirt designs done, spent, a couple of bucks, and they were horrible. I thought they were horrible from the get-go. So I've been very, very fortunate. Roberto Pinto of Pinto Art Studios, who was the gentleman that walked through my rebranding with me and helped me with my rebranding and designed my new logo as well as the TogChat logo, as well as all of the new thumbnails that you see showing up on my channel. He is the designer behind those. He has done all of the designs on the new shirts, the new mugs, the new bags, all that kind of stuff. So if you have a moment to check it out, okay? So let's go ahead and let's do some questions that we have here, because I saw some stuff going by here, and I want to make sure that that I try to answer a few of these. Jimmy said he's got a website that's all in French. Jimmy, believe it or not, I've done consultations. I haven't done French yet, but I've done consultations with people that have websites all in Spanish, and also I've done one in German. And it's, it takes a little bit of extra work, but the good part is marketing for the most part. So certainly I'm not going to be helping someone with French or Spanish or German with their grammar on their about page, but I can certainly walk through most of that stuff. In fact, I have a couple that are coming up that have a mix of English and Spanish on them, and there's one other European language one that's coming up. So you'll see. We've got a little bit of that. So Michael Bradley made the comment: awards have little to no relevance to paid clients. Yeah, Michael, that's in your opinion, but I want to frame this a little bit. In your line of work, Michael, I would agree with you entirely. When it comes to commercial clients, I've never had a client give a crap about an award at all. So here, I'll tell this story because I upset a few people every time I tell this story. I do a lot of speaking for PPA groups around the country. I am a huge fan of PPA. And for any of you that are looking to be portrait photographers, wedding photographers, I would aggressively encourage you to look into PPA. If for nothing more than the fact that your annual membership fee gives you $15,000 worth of equipment insurance, included full equipment insurance. It's a really good program. But they have great educational tools, all kind of great support stuff. PPA also has a master's program where you become a master of photography, and then they have a certification program. And, in their subculture, they promote that aggressively. I'm not a big fan of that stuff because, indeed, a lot of what they teach you in order to be able to get those certifications or to become a master photographer is textbook stuff, like hardcore textbook stuff that I just don't believe in. So that's the only thing about the PPA world that I don't promote to people yet a lot. But one of the things that PPA uses to encourage people to do these certifications and to go for the master's program and all that is the idea that you can advertise to your customers that you are a certified photographer or you are a master photographer. And the simple fact of the matter is nobody's ever going to ask to see your credentials. And your credentials are a piece of paper that you could make up yourself. So even if somebody said, hey, can I see your certificate? Like, what are the odds that a bride's going to look at that certificate and then go look up ppa.com and contact their headquarters and say, hey, is this guy really certified? Like, yeah. So it really depends on the type of clientele you're talking about. With the line of work that Michael does, he's got a lot of fashion work, a lot of commercial clientele. Those clients don't care at all. For portrait and wedding stuff, though, I would say, like, Dave asked, best of show last year's at the state fair. Sure, absolutely. Put that in as part of your marketing. You don't even have to say it's a state fair. Just say you're an award-winning photographer. And if somebody asks, though, now, here's the key. If somebody asks, be prepared to be honest. Don't BS them. Say, yeah, I won best of show at the state fair. It was great. Most people aren't going to, at that point, think you're a fraud. They're really not. If somebody's looking to have you hire, to do a portrait or do a wedding, if you say, oh, yeah, I won best of show at the state fair, they're not going to think it's a fraud because they're not into photography. So just the idea that somebody would win, even at the state fair, wow, that's pretty cool. So I'm not encouraging anybody to go out there and try and win as many awards as you can to be able to say that you're an award-winning photographer. But I'm saying, hey, if you've won it, yeah, nothing wrong with saying it at all. It's not about how big was the award. It's not about where did the award come from. It's simply not. Okay? It's just, hey, if you're an award-winning photographer, you're an award-winning photographer. Done. Okay? So what else do we have here? Chris Dye, since I now have a camera that does 4K, should I also shoot a little video footage during your photo shoots and photo outings and events that I shoot? Absolutely, man. Video is a great marketing tool. For those of you that do portraits, I'll give you an example. I talk about this guy all the time. He is absolutely awesome. I did an event 5 or 6 years ago out in Denver, Colorado. It was an event called Meeting the Masters. And I was one of the speakers. There was another speaker there. He was a guy from New Orleans, actually just outside of New Orleans, Louisiana. His name is Wachs. And Kirk is a total Louisiana gentleman. He's a carrot top with that whole Louisiana accent, kind of high-pitched. And he's a high school senior portrait photographer. And let me tell you, this guy's work is freaking off the charts. Awesome stuff. So, and believe me, he was one of the guys that developed this whole high school senior portrait genre. And what's really great about Wachs is not only is his work really, really awesome, his business approach to it is off the charts. So this was like 5 or 6 years ago. What he did then, which was brilliant, the only thing that was really happening with video then, because at that point, it might have been more than 5 years now, it might have been as many as 8 years ago, photographers weren't doing a whole lot of video marketing yet. There was this brand new company on the scene called Animoto.com, and Animoto is still around, where you can basically sign up for an account, you upload pictures, and it makes little like portfolio slideshows with music and that, and they're nice. They're nice little marketing pieces. So what Kirk figured out, because you were also able to upload short video clips to have mixed into these slideshows. So his video camera was one of those little cheapy flip cameras. Remember the flip cams and how bad they were? But what he would do is when he would go out to shoot a senior portrait, and Kirk always works on a tripod. Always. He never hand holds images. So he would go out with the flip cam, and he would give the flip cam to mom or dad. And after he'd do a really cool shot, what he would do is he would tell the kid to come over so he could show the kid the back of the camera. And then he'd hand the flip cam to mom or dad and say, here, record this. And so he had this little short video clip of him pressing the button on the back of the camera, the kid walking over and going, wow. And that's it. And so his slideshow would be all the kids' pictures and this one clip with the kid going, wow. And then to make it even more brilliant yet, because most of the senior portrait stuff happens like in the summertime, right? He would tell people, you're not going to get your videos until next spring, right before you graduate. And then what he would do is once the weather got warm in the spring, he'd get himself a 6-pack of beer. He'd sit outside by his pool with his laptop, and he would put together all his videos from the last senior portrait season and then start emailing out to the kids. So this way, at the end of that school year, their senior year of high school, these kids were posting all their videos all over the place on all the social media. And the juniors that were about to go into their summer season of finding a photographer for their senior portraits, they were seeing all these videos, and they were calling him up in a heartbeat, like, oh my God, you've got to do my picture. And it's an absolutely brilliant business. But that's just one small example. When it comes to marketing, video is it. It's absolutely it. So let's see. What I got here? Marcos, how long is the waiting list for the web review? I submitted mine some weeks ago. I think I'm up to about 3.5 years right now. No, I'm kidding. I do have about 50 websites total that have been submitted, and I'm trying to work my way through all of them. So we could say that potentially we're at about a year right now. So depending where you are in the mix. But don't worry, I've got some things in the works to try and get through a few more of those as the year goes on. Okay. Roy Patton, is Internet Explorer still a thing? Yeah, unfortunately. I don't actually, tell you the truth, I don't think they call it that anymore, but yeah, it's still there. So, Richard Kiefer, if you have a local portrait business and a global YouTube tutorial channel, what do you want to monetize? Would you separate those completely? Hell yes. Two completely different things. Completely two different things. So let's see, Michael, who's the website for? The clients that hire him or the photographers? Yeah, I mean, we kind of talked about that. You know, you've got to make sure your website focuses on your clientele. And if you have two completely different clienteles, even like Richard's asking about, doing two different things, then you market two different ways. That's absolutely fine. You can have the same name, same business name. It doesn't need to be a completely different business name and that kind of stuff, but it needs to market and address just those people. You don't want people to have to sift through stuff to find what they are interested in. You want them to stumble on it through search or through social media because they found something that relates to their interest, and you want that website to be exactly about that. You don't want it to have all kind of mixed messages going on, okay? Let's see here. What else do I got? Let me scroll down here. Should Google Ads link to your website, or should you make a dedicated landing page? Dave, if you're going to do Google Ads, which honestly I wouldn't do, I'll tell you that straight up. I think if you're doing, if you're shooting like portraits and weddings, I don't know what you shoot, Dave, but if you're shooting portraits and weddings, I really wouldn't do Google ads. I think you're doing most people. So I don't mean to insult you, Dave. I swear, but I find that most photographers that are doing like portraits and weddings and doing Google ads, they're doing Google ads because they're too lazy to do social media right. I would argue that you'd be better off doing like Facebook ads, to tell you the truth. But before you do that, get your social media right. But to answer your question, landing pages. Absolutely go with landing pages. Okay, that's definitely the way you want to go. Okay, let's see. Ninja 4057. Where should I get my photos printed for weddings? I've done events before, but never weddings. I don't know how to price for video and photography. How do I calm down nervous brides? You calm down nervous brides with alcohol. Drugs are illegal, so stick with the alcohol. As far as how do you price video and photography, that's a whole nother conversation. What I would encourage you to do is maybe stop back for one of my Wednesday night TogChats for the Q&A section, and I will definitely try and dig into that a little bit more. And then where do you get photos printed for weddings? At a photo lab. Some of the bigger ones, Miller's, Bay Photo. Those are probably the two biggest in the countries. A lab that I use here on the East Coast that does great work is a lab called Nations Photo Lab. They're in Maryland. Okay, but yeah, I mean, just literally do a Google search for photo labs. The key in picking your lab, in addition to quality and product offering is important. But also it's a matter of, do you want the lab to do the fulfillment? In other words, are you going to essentially sell your print orders online, let people pay for it, and then you want the lab to go ahead and ship it direct? Or do you want the images to come to you and then you're going to hand them over? That's all the stuff that's going to impact your decision, okay? So let's see. So I answered Richard's question. We got that. Troy Hall, do you ever use long exposure when it comes to people? Depends on what I'm doing, Troy. Yeah, I mean, there's no rules. So there's a here. Let me find this. Let me switch my screen back. Let me bring my YouTube channel up. Whoops, sorry. Let me go up to the videos tab here. This is, and I don't think I've changed the cover yet, so it's still got the old cover, so we'll be able to find the picture. There is a video. It's one of the early last frame videos I did. So before the last frame videos became about the lighting setups and the software, for a couple weeks I was just doing kind of like those little vlogging videos for the last frame. This one right here, learn how to light with off-camera flash and one light location shot. That shot that you see in the background, Troy, with the guy spinning the steel wool on the chain, that's a long exposure with a person. So, it really depends on what you're doing. So, Anand, in my experience, do metal prints have advantages over regular prints? Metal prints, as far as I'm concerned, have advantages only to the extent that if the image really kind of fits that metal feel, then yes. Otherwise, no. I would say that the thing you have to understand about metal prints is just be careful. Don't jump into the trend. And so, since Anand, I know you, and I know one of your big habits, frequency separation, you'll love the way the frequency separation looks on metal. But please don't go 100% metal just because of that. Like, I would argue that that's just a horrible way to go about it. In my opinion, some images look awesome in metal and some don't. So it's really going to depend on the image. My first advice to you would be, if you've never done any, have some printed. I love them. I've got, on the first floor of my house, I've got a bunch of vacation pictures, like 20 by 24 inch frame pictures from travels that my wife and I have done. So, when you walk in there, we have this very long wall when you walk in. And I've got pictures from Italy and from all over Italy and Berlin, Germany and London, England. And they're all metal prints, but they're also images that I picked specifically because I really felt that the color range and the contrast range would look really good on the metals, because I wanted to do the whole wall with metals. So the metals are cool, but not every image is perfect for the metals. So that would be my answer there. So so let's see. Am I missing anybody else's questions here? Renata, music creates an emotional connection. Great for marketing using video. It is, absolutely. That's definitely a big piece of it. Okay. All right, so 2 pieces of business, very, very important, because I know that you've been hanging out to find out what one of them is. So let's do the .space domain extensions first, okay? In the description section below the video is a link to subscribe to my newsletter. I've never actually sent out the newsletter yet. I've been building up the list. It's coming. I've got some unique content that's being put together for it. It's going to be starting in the next month or so. So the 5 domain names that I'm giving away tonight will be to people that are subscribed to my newsletter. So if you subscribed 2 months ago and you're here, don't panic. You're already entered. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, when the video is done, click on the link below for the newsletter subscription and make sure you subscribe. Understand that you're not subscribed until you do the subscribe thing and then respond to the confirmation email that will come to your inbox right after you do it. So it's a 2-step process. It's what they call double opt-in. So until you do it that second time, I don't know that you ever interacted with the subscribe. So if you're looking to get a .space domain name free for 1 year, in fact, you know what? I told you guys I was going to give away 5. The heck with that. I'm going to give away 10 tonight. 10 1-year domain registrations. But you've got to be a subscriber to my newsletter. And I will have the winners' names posted in the description by the end of the day tomorrow. That's the first thing. Now, here's the second thing that I want to tell you guys about, okay? And each week I'm going to give you a little bit more information on this leading all the way up to April 6th, okay? I've mentioned a couple times tonight Roberto Pinto and Pinto Art Studios. Roberto is the graphic designer that designed the logo that you see on my website, that designed the TogChat logo that you see for the TogChats. He designed the graphics that lead into the video. He designed all of the t-shirts and the mugs and all that cool stuff that I have. Richard, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Richard, thank you. Roberto is an amazing designer. Literally, as you guys have seen, I've given my entire brand over to him, and he has just been incredible to work with. Not only are his designs great, he is a designer, which is important to me, who doesn't just design what he likes. He really has taken the time to understand my brand and really help me develop the brand and represent it really, really well. So Roberto has agreed to give away 2 prizes to our TogChat subscribers. And these are not cheap prizes. So the top prize, the first prize, is a complete WordPress website design, or if you have a WordPress website already, a WordPress redesign, a complete redesign of your website. No cost to the winner. That's the top prize. The second prize, also at no cost, is a logo design or redesign for your business. So now, how do you get entered for this? It's easy. In the description below, you'll see some information about this contest with a link. When you click on that link, it's going to ask you for some information. You know, the basic stuff. It's going to want your name and where you're from and your email address and that kind of stuff. It's going to ask you if you already have a website and if it's a WordPress site, and it will ask for the URL. It's going to ask you for 2 important pieces of information, because these are the 2 important pieces of information that allow you to win the contest. Number 1, you have to be a subscriber to the Photo Joe Edelman YouTube channel. Number 2, you must have liked my Facebook page. So those are the 2 things you got to do. In order for us to be able to confirm that you've done that, it's going to ask you for your Google handle or YouTube channel name, and it's going to ask you for your Facebook profile name so that we can look them up. It's real simple. So we're going to collect entries over the next 4 weeks. April 6th will be the drawing. I'll do it live here on TogChat. A full website design with revisions to market your business the right way, and I will help with the consulting on the design. And also, the second prize, a logo design. Okay? So I hope to see that you guys will take the time to enter that. 2 two quick questions that came up here. So I'll go ahead and I'll get these just to make sure we get everybody in. But these are going to be my last two, okay? Nick, a pure marketing question. People come to his studio and pretty often grab his business cards. They watch his high fashion pics on the walls and then disappear. What the heck is he doing wrong? Well, the first question, Nick, would be if you're not following up with them, like in other words, if you just let them leave and you're saying, God, they never called me back, that sucks. Well, that's your first big mistake. So what you need to do is you need to get a little bit of Ryan's, kind of aggressiveness going. Like, it's okay to let them leave, but don't let them leave without contact information. In other words, you want their contact information and then follow up with them. That's really that's the biggest thing, because by not following up with them and simply by not even asking for their contact information, you're basically saying, I don't care about you. So again, that's important. This whole photography business isn't just about taking pictures. There's a touchy-feely element to it. People want to know that they matter. That's really, really important, okay? And the second question that I saw, and guys, if you have other questions, I will gladly answer them next week if you come back or tune in next Wednesday. But Corey, if I do video and photography, should I have two different websites? It depends, Corey. So like if you're doing video for like corporate purposes and that type of stuff, or if you're doing like actual video production, that's kind of more creative, like movie making or TV commercials or that kind of stuff, and then you're doing portraits and weddings for stills, then I would say yes, two completely websites. If you're a portrait or wedding photographer, but you also do wedding videos, in other words, like if you'll go out and you'll shoot a wedding video alongside some other still photographer, you could totally put those on the same website, because I have a feeling if somebody came to you and said, hey, I want you to do the video and the photography, you've probably already made arrangements with some photographers that you could hire like a second or third shooter to assist you with that kind of stuff. So if there's a way that you can blend those two videos together, or those two businesses together, without them conflicting or without them bringing in completely different audiences, by all means, one website. If it's a completely different audience, then two websites. But just the fact that it's photography and video, that alone does not make it two different audiences. Okay? All right, gang. So listen, again, my pleasure. Thank you all so much. I really appreciate your hanging out with me tonight. I will be back here Monday night for a photo review night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., so that's -4 UTC now. And then again, Wednesday night for Q&A, and believe me, if you missed last night's Q&A was awesome. We had tons of great questions, and believe me, it was nonstop, rapid fire. So we're going to do exactly the same thing again next week. And then next Thursday, I'll be back here again with another website and another hour of photography marketing. So I hope to see you guys enter for the contests. I will post the list of the 10 domain winners by the end of the day tomorrow. And that's all I got, guys. Have a great night. And hey, the weekend's coming, so you guys know the drill. See you later.